Here we go. We're going to do it. All right, we're here. We're going. We got it, Zoom. We're live streaming. We're back. We're back. You probably didn't miss us, but we're kind of back. Actually, you maybe missed Viking Moe over here. You probably did not miss me one bit. That's fine. That's okay. You probably missed Ben. He's not going to be with us tonight because he now works a job that's even worse than the job he was doing before, with worse hours and less pay. How American is that? How American is that? It's just unbelievable. Anyway, he's trying to retool. Hey, Big Play Slay, how you doing? He had his alerts on, his notifications on. Yeah, so Ben's not going to be on tonight. So we have Viking Moe here, disguised as Eric, on this meeting, and it's time. First of all, we apologize. Viking Moe tried everything he could to do a show with us pre the Packer Viking game. It was my fault we didn't do it, and partially Ben's, but mostly mine because I just really wasn't up for it. I was a mess, man. So I just couldn't do it, and super tired and had a crazy week and all this stuff. Anyway, my bad. I apologize to you. Apologize to you, Eric. But now look at this. We didn't have to pontificate on all the things we thought were going to happen, like how we thought Delvin Cook would run all over the Packers, and how we thought, Kirk Cousins would get sacked a whole bunch of times. So those things didn't really happen that much. It was more like Kirk Cousins threw all over the place, and Packers played like crap on offense for quite a while, and then they got you going in the second half and all that stuff, and hit some big plays, but still lost. But now this is what happens as a Packer Viking rivalry fandom that we went to college in, because we went near a border city where there are lots of Minnesota people and Wisconsin people. When the other team wins, that whole next week, the other fan base gets to gloat. So Eric, this is Viking Moe's time to gloat, to relish in his Viking win. How do you feel after that win, Eric? Feel pretty good?
I mean, it always feels good to win, and it always feels really good to beat the Packers, no matter what the scenario. But I'm going to tell you, it doesn't. The way the season has gone for the Vikings so far, it doesn't really feel right to gloat. I mean, end of the day, Vikings are 5-5, and the Packers are 8-3. So yeah, there's really not too much to gloat about. That's after a win, so it was even worse before that.
Well, hold on, because one of my pregame notes was talking about what a lot of people said, which was the Vikings have lost. They've been in every game. Yes, they had lost 5 of those 9 games, but they'd been there. They'd been right there. So in the NFL, I understand a lot of times it's that close of a difference between winning and losing, but it's not like the Vikings are a terrible team. They're just stinking up the joint. They had some bad. They're on the wrong end of some field goals that they missed. They're on the wrong end of some field goals that were made against them. And a lot of times that's the difference in a game, right? So it's not like they're a bad team. They're a good team. They just had a record that was probably less than, what they actually were as a team. And the Packers, the reason why the Packers were 8-2 is because they had miraculous comebacks and they had crazy finishes, and they finished off close games. And that's why they had 8 wins out of 10. So, that's kind of how it went. It's not like, that's why I was so perplexed when I saw all these people leading up to the game that were like, oh, the Packers, everybody's picking the Packers. Packers should win this game on the road in Minnesota. I'm thinking, hold on the road in Minnesota, they haven't been great there against Mike Zimmer. On top of that, the Vikings were up there, were in every game, had a chance to win. Could have been 8-1, could have been 7-2 easily, right?
Sure.
So I didn't understand why everybody was on the Packs train for this leading up to the game. I thought it was a pretty close game, and that's what it ended up being, and the Vikings won.
Yeah, I think about just like the Cincinnati and Arizona games, because the Packers and Vikings have both played those teams, right? The Vikings lost those 2 games. Packers won those 2 games. Packers missed like 3 field goals against Cincinnati or whatever, and probably could have lost to them if they would have made a kick. Vikings lose them in overtime. They fumble when they're in field goal range and end up losing that game after getting penalized 10 times in the first half and came back and made it a game. And Arizona too, they Vikings missed a 36-yard field goal to win, missed an extra point early in the game, so they lose by 1 point. Packers play them, and I'm trying to remember which receiver it was now that didn't turn around in that last pass that was picked off. But down
AJ Green, and we had
thank you. Yep, easily.
And we had a guy we picked up off the street,
right?
Who's our best cornerback, by the way. Not one of the many guys we drafted in recent years. He's like our best cornerback, and we picked him up off somebody else's practice squad, Arizona's practice squad. And Razul Douglas is playing the best as defensive back. But go ahead.
Made a great play, but one of those things where one play away, like you were talking about, where Packers win those 2 games, Vikings lose those 2 games, and when there's so much parity, and I think a lot of the way the Vikings were playing, just they couldn't finish off games. They weren't being very aggressive, and they put themselves in that situation. I think that's what at least the fan base feels when you're watching the games. Like you can, and yeah, it's every game they've been in has been a 1-score game this year, except the Seattle game where the Vikings actually beat them by a couple scores. And they're also the only team in the NFL this year that has held a 7-point lead in every game they've been in, which is kind of crazy. But not able to. Yeah, but then not able to finish off games, and that's something that Zimmer used to be able to pretty good at doing, but now the defense has some holes and injuries, and it's not quite the same team. But the one thing that I find encouraging from both the Packer game and how they played against the Chargers is that they were aggressive. Because I'm watching the game, I'm watching with my brother a lot, and I'm like, just take shots. If they're one-on-one with Justin Jefferson, just throw it to him. You'll either get an incompletion, a completion, or a penalty. That's the worst that can really happen. That's what the NFL is, right? You take shots, you get the penalty, and that's exactly what they did, obviously, against the Packers a lot. And they flipped the script a little bit because the knock on Zimmer around here and people calling for his head were that he gets too conservative. He plays not to lose. You get that 7-point lead and they go into a shell and let's run the ball and play defense. I'm like, well, no, let's just try to score a touchdown, and take the training wheels off this offense that has some pretty good weapons. So it was nice to see that offensively. It was discouraging to see how the defense kind of broke down in the second half, but I think, the Packers adjusted well, and Rodgers made some pretty good reads and got him in some pretty good situations to make it a really good game. I'm glad it turned out the way it did, but it ended up being, down to that 1 score again. But I like the way they managed the clock at the end too, to not give Rodgers another chance. I think, I hate leaving things up to a field goal, being a Vikings fan at the end of a game, but I also like the idea of, hey, let's just grind down the clock, and worst case, we go into overtime and we're not giving Rodgers another chance at the ball. And I can appreciate that strategy.
I'd say it's probably been proven to be a good decision, wise choice, regardless of where you're at. I actually felt like when the Packers scored, great. It was nice to see that big play, but I kind of was the same way. I was like, I would have preferred a drive where you took up most of the clock. And I understand you got to hit the big play when it's there sometimes, but that left Minnesota the time to do what they did to finish off the game. And granted, they had to get first downs, they had to possess the ball, they had to do what they needed to do to capitalize. But there wasn't they could do it they had plenty of time to, there wasn't a lot of pressure on them. So there's plenty of time to get that done, and they give them credit. They did it. And, okay, speaking of field goals missed, we've had our issues on the Packers side this year. Yeah. I don't know what's all it. We changed the long snapper. We got a different holder and punter. We got the same kicker, and we got some of the same problem. We had protection issues. Everything that could go wrong with a field goal unit, the Packers have had this year. And Mason Crosby just doesn't look the same. I'm not sure what to say about it. I mean, he made a really long kick early in the game, and then clanked one after they probably should have scored a touchdown on that drive, and then didn't. And then he clanks one, and he makes that or whatever, or they score a touchdown on that drive. It's all different. But at the same time, whatever. That's the way games go. Anyway, we've had our issues. You're right. That Cincinnati game was scary as heck because, I mean, they could have beat the Packers 3 times at the end of that game. They just kept, making mistakes and missing plays too. So it worked
Yep.
out. But we thought that would be the hiccup for Crosby, which he has like one every couple of years. Instead, it's just a continuing problem. And
Mhm.
I don't know what's going on with that, but it doesn't
It
give
might-
me a lot of faith for playoff wins because you're going to need to make field goals in the playoffs to win.
Well, I think, a lot obviously goes on Crosby for missed kicks, and in a lot of ways that's probably rightfully so, but it is a full battery, right? The long snapper, the holder, like everything. And, I think whenever you have like a big changeover for those three key pieces, plus you're having protection problems, that's, just another thing on top of it. But, it really has to be aligned. And are they holding the ball right? Holding the way that he likes it to be held? Or what he's used to, and it can be little nuances like that. The velocity of the long snap, is that throwing off timing? Like, there's it's more than just one thing, and it might not be completely fair to blame Crosby. He's obviously has a long track record of being very successful, and I just noticed, just from a little bit of experience in fandom here, that when they brought in Colquitt, who's now gone for the Vikings, his kind of write off is that he's a really good holder. Maybe not a great punter, but a really good holder, and that he can make kickers a lot better just because he actually holds the ball well and can just do that skill really well. And so, and I'm not saying the Packers holder is bad, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it's part of the problem. It's hard to say, and those guys aren't going to call each other out and say, no, it's your fault. You just try to get it right. So. But it's something too that can get in your head, right? So it's you miss a couple that, and now next time you're questioning yourself instead of saying, "Well, I got this. I'm just going to knock this through." Right? Lose that confidence, but it's a nerve-wracking thing.
We've had. So here's what the Packers have had, Eric, is really not good punters for a very long time, and then we finally got Bojorquez, and he can actually kick the ball, which is great. We finally have a good punter, but he's not a good holder. He's not. He struggles with it. Now, Ben and I, a couple shows ago, were talking, and Ben brought it up. He's like, why don't we have the backup quarterback hold again? It always used to be the backup quarterback. And for some reason, then they wanted to have the specialists work together, and it became the punter had to be the holder, and blah, blah, blah. And
the backup quarterback might be the starter next year, right? So you don't want to do that.
Well, come on.
Another topic.
Randall Cobb. Have Randall Cobb. I don't care. Anyway, the point is, it used to be that also used to give defenses a little more of a threat of a fake too, because you had a guy who could throw the ball as your holder, right?
Yeah, but I always like that.
I did too, but the Packers haven't even tried to do that for well over a decade now. So we've had crappy punters for a long time. We don't want to, just because this guy's not a good holder, we don't want to try find another punter, because it's been a really rough go for a really long time to have a consistent punter. Bojo's good. We like him kicking the ball. Figure out who the hell is going to hold. I don't care. But if they don't like the way he holds, whatever. Have somebody else do it. I don't care.
Well, it might be a problem. All things else considered, Crosby's been really good for a long time, so maybe it's the holder.
He has. The other part is, look, he cannot kick the ball far enough at kickoffs. Still don't know why he's kicking off, and that's fine. Sometimes older kickers, like, you relinquish the kickoff duties to somebody else, and that's cool. Maybe the punter should do it. I think he could probably get it farther. I don't know, but that alone is a big issue, because they've been bad at coverage, and then almost every time they're allowing a lot of kick returns to happen because he doesn't even get the ball in the end zone half the time. So that's another issue with field position, with kick coverage, with all kinds of stuff there. So it's more than just the missed or made field goals, although the missed field goals are piling up now. He's had 8 misses already in the season, so it's getting kind of ugly there. So anyway, we feel your pain on the missed field goal front. But we've had the same guy forever, not a bunch of different guys missing field goals.
Penalties were quite a bit different in that game. I know going into that game, the Packers were the least or second least penalized team in the league, and the Vikings one of the worst. I think they were down by in the high 20s.
How did you feel like that? Because I heard some Packers fans talking about how the officials helped the Packers or helped the Vikings out, helped them win that game. I don't know about
Well, I
that.
mean, in close games, I mean, it's easy to point to almost anything, right? So I get that. I think it was more penalties than the Packers and their fans are used to seeing. One thing, though, I think that I thought was interesting is that the Packers also had the least amount of pre-snap penalties in the league going into that game, which is kind of a credit to them, right? I mean, those they're not big judgment calls with pre-snap penalties. You're either offsides and you false start or you don't, right? I mean, those are pretty obvious. So that's a credit to good coaching and discipline and everything. But they had a few of them in that game, right? They had some offsides, some false starts, and there's some crowd noise and everything too. But I mean, that was kind of uncharacteristic. And then the rest of the thing, I think there were some calls that definitely could have gone different ways. And I think there was a missed face mask on Cook early in the game. They turned his helmet. And then I know a lot of people talk about that interception. That was an interception that got reviewed and overturned. So a lot of controversy on that and the whole what's a catch and what's not a catch thing. Could there have been a push off on that Justin Jefferson catch and touchdown? I mean, he extended his arm. I've seen it called before. I've also seen it not called. So, I wouldn't have been surprised at a call there. So overall, I felt like it was pretty well officiated, but certainly a couple of things that definitely could have been called or not called for sure.
I think overall too it was a pretty well officiated game. I mean, we've seen much worse officiated games this year. We've seen worse officiated games in favor of the Packers this year, and just in general, just like games that were bad both ways.
Yep.
This was, I think, a pretty fairly officiated game. Look, the whole thing, and I'll say it. I said it weeks ago, and I'm tired of people giving me the same response back. But Eric Stokes, our number one draft pick this last year, okay, he's had some flashes as a corner, fine.
For sure.
But the one thing he cannot do, and I don't think is going to get any better, is he cannot locate the ball when he's trailing somebody.
Mm-hmm.
When it's a deep pass, he's good at sitting back and attacking a play in front of him. Great.
Mm-hmm.
He's good at breaking on the guy in front of him. He's good at, coming up and making the tackle or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty good at that. Okay. But when he has to run with somebody, and he's supposed to be super fast, his whole big thing, the reason they drafted him, because he's super fast, his 40 time, crazy fast, great.
Mm-hmm.
But he does not look for the ball. And I don't know, I'd love your take on this, because I was talking about it right away. He's had so many times where guys just throw up these lobs that are just hanging in the air, and he doesn't locate it, and it ends up being a big play or a touchdown or a penalty on him. That's happened time and time again, almost every game he's been in for the majority of the snaps. And I said it right away. I was like, this is a problem. This isn't something that you can coach. To me, guys that look for the ball and have good timing on that, that's kind of an instinct thing. That's an ability. That's not something that you can kind of coach into a guy. That's the way I think about it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think when you talk about that, I think it makes me think a lot about Trey Waynes, who was with the Vikings a long time. He was a high draft pick, really great speed, and you watch him play, and like he's right there. He's great at sticking with guys, tracing routes and shadowing routes. And then when it came to just playing the ball, he couldn't. He couldn't knock it down. He couldn't get his head around. He'd get penalized. Or he'd be right there and give up a contested catch. Like he's right there. How does he not just knock the ball down? Like, how does he not? He sees the receiver with the eyes up in the air. It's kind of a sign that the ball's coming. Turn around. You're right next to him. Turn around, catch the ball, knock the ball away, whatever. And I'm not saying it's easy. It's obviously one of the hardest things to do, running full speed with a really great athlete you're trying to cover, and then knowing when the ball is coming and turn around and just try to pick it out of the air somewhere. I'm not saying that's easy. And obviously, I think it's proven around the league that it's not easy for anyone to do. But yeah, I think that's the guys that are really great at it are the ones that can do that. And he's got time. He's young. He's definitely shown flashes that, he might be able to hopefully kind of learn that skill. Is it innate, or can you learn it? Can you pick up on nuances in the game? I think you can. might not see something where he's ever elite at it, but if it's something where he can avoid a penalty, knock a ball down every once in a while, it makes a big difference. But I mean, I think the future is pretty bright for the Packers secondary. I mean, Jair's out. You got Stokes, who's shown some flashes. Amos is a good player, and then first round pick with Savage as well, who's turned into a pretty good safety also. And the way they've played without some of those top players has been encouraging up until, I mean, I know the Vikings got him in the air a lot, but before this game, no one team really has. So I think there's still plenty of optimism there, especially when you're missing some of your pass rushers. So, but I think, you know, he's got time to hopefully figure it out. Otherwise, it'll be another Trey Waynes.
Yep. I think back to Tramon Williams, and, you know, even his first year getting a chance to play, he was a guy that always got his head around. He was a guy that had a feel for that. Yep. And guys like that are the guys that can make plays on the ball, make interceptions, make game-changing plays, and consistently break up passes in coverage. And guys like Stokes will be like, if it's the right kind of play for him, if it's right in front of him, he can diagnose it, do it. But when he's got to turn his back, he just can't find the ball. And if you can't find the ball, you're in trouble, man. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a good pass. I mean, that's the problem. Like, there have been multiple quarterbacks just throw up a freaking duck and it's up there forever and it should be a pick. You just turn around, it's going to be a pick. But he's running, doesn't look for it, runs into the guy, doesn't look for it. It's a completed pass. I just don't see it happening for him. Hopefully I'm wrong, but, you know, anyway. Or you just play a different style. You just say, look, we're not going to have you up tight. We're going to have you off so you can use your best skill, which is attack the play. And if they start to go deep on you, you know, okay, make sure you get back soon enough. Make sure you turn. And so you're never beat deep. Okay. So you're running in front of the guy. But anyway, that's a coaching point. I just don't see that part of it coming around for him. Anyway, whatever. That's what I think. I hear from everybody else. He's a rookie. He'll learn. We'll see. The time will tell. Time will tell. About the safeties. Now, Ben pointed this out, and I'm sure he'll come on and say it on Friday when we talk to him. He made a really great observation and point. And the Packers in recent games have had a switch where they let Amos play deep safety, which he's really good at locating the ball and making a play on the ball. He's not as fast as Savage. He doesn't cover as much ground as Savage, but he's really good at making a play on the ball. Savage is not great at making plays on the ball. He's just not. He's really fast, but he misses the ball. He can't judge the ball. He can't get there. He can't break up passes sometimes. He doesn't intercept it like he should. But what Savage does is around the line of scrimmage, he attacks and makes a difference, like makes an impact. Sometimes he makes tackles. Sometimes he makes guys miss. You know, he might miss a tackle, but he makes them change direction and forces them back inside. But he attacks better than Amos. So even though he's the smaller safety, it makes sense to have him around the line of scrimmage and attack and have Amos back, even though he's a slower safety because he's smarter. And he also makes good plays on the ball with good catches like the week before he made a pick. So they did that a couple games in a row. And then against the Vikings, they were like, that worked too well. Let's go back to having Savage play more deep and have Amos up by the line and not play to either of their strengths. And you saw the result. It was just really frustrating as a Packers fan. But anyway, that's a side point about the safeties. Now, they are both pretty good as long as they're used in the correct way. Anyway, if we get Jair back and you pair him with Rasul Douglas, I feel pretty good about the corners. Safeties used in the right way, good. We finally have a linebacker that's doing something. Eric Devondre Campbell's been really good. We like him. Really good. We lost some of our defensive pass rush, especially with Rashawn Gary out. He's been our primary pass rusher. Yeah, he's been good. And then the one time, you know, Kingsley Keke gets a pass rush, he hits Kirk Cousins in the helmet. So great. But on that one, you got to lower your target zone, right? Come on, dude. I mean, it was the right call. Obviously, a huge penalty. I mean, interception, all that stuff, right? It's just he lowers his target. That's a completely different play. But that's one that obviously it's never fun to get that penalty, but it obviously was the right call. I think the announcers saw that too. But that was a big one. Yep. But it was, I mean, it's like his best rush of the whole game. And he gets a clean shot. It's like, great, just lower your target a bit. Just don't hit him in the head. Right. Come on, man. Anyway. Anyway, hey, congratulations to the Vikings on the win. I think, look, a couple of weeks ago, Ben and I were like, man, I don't think there's any chance the Packers are losing this division. Well, I mean, you got the tiebreaker. You play them again late in the season. It's not. I'm not scared of the Bears. You know,
No.
the Lions, the best they've done so far is tie a game. So we're not worried about those two teams. But the Vikings, they
Yep.
still got a shot to take this division. And, I don't think that'll mean the Packers miss the playoffs, but you sure would like to be a division winner versus just making the playoffs, I think.
Well, for sure, you get that home game. I don't know. It seems steep. It's still what, a 2.5 game lead that the Packers have. But they'll have to obviously sweep the Packers for that to happen. I think, given the number of games they're behind. I mean, there's a lot of season left now, though, right? It's 17 games, so they have to go to San Francisco this week. So we'll see how that goes. But they're
not that tough. Not that tough. The Packers got the Rams, and then they got to play the Vikings again late in the year. I mean, that's 2 games right there that are easily lost.
Well, I mean, the problem is that the part that stinks, and is how some of the early games went on. Right, people feel like we don't have a lot of momentum, but winning kind of fixes everything, right? You won 2 games now for the Vikings, so and people say, well, maybe this isn't so bad, but but we'll see. But you still lost Danielle Hunter again for the season, so the Packers haven't had to face him for 3 games now before when they play later this year, and he was playing pretty well, and they just kind of gotten a little thin on defensive end. They had to move Sheldon Richardson, who's a tackle, out to defensive end. He played quite a few snaps that game and did okay. But I mean, they're just, everyone has injuries, right? It just seems like that's one spot they really couldn't afford to get one, especially to that caliber of player. But you guys know what that's like too, having lost Jair and, well, I'll say Zadarius Smith, but you guys, I know how you guys feel about that too. But whatever.
No, we actually, the defense, the way the defense was playing without him was really great.
Yeah.
It's just that when we lost Gary and they had another injury with who's the other guy that's kind of been in and out? I mean, a couple of the interior guys have been kind of in and out at times too. And Kenny Clark has had his classic, like, oh, I'm hurt, then I'm back. So, like missing some pass rush between a couple of key guys like that was tough. And they're very thin at outside linebacker. Now, if Zadarius comes back and he's motivated, great. I'll take him. But I actually like the way Preston Smith is playing. Love the way Gary is playing. And then some of the backup guys that were coming in, Whitney Merciless was doing okay, and then he got hurt. Even the 7th rounder from last year, Garvin, he's pretty good in spot duty. But if you put him out there, 40, 50 snaps a game, he's not going to be as good. It's rough because there wasn't much of a pass rush against the Vikings, and they need the pass rush to go along with the coverage because,
well, they got to Cousins a couple of times, and actually they pressured him quite a bit, more than what he's used to. So I think the guys that did play, I think they did pretty well for the most part. I think some of the Vikings offensive line had a really tough time with Kenny Clark. He's just a beast. Especially when he's really on top of the snap, which he was a few times and just blew up some plays by himself. So, I mean, for whatever reason, Cousins was just a little bit better under pressure this time. I think the times that he did get bailed out against a couple of interceptions with the penalty and the one that wasn't caught. So, I mean, it could have been a lot different game. But again, I just was glad to see them being aggressive. I almost don't even really care if you would have thrown a pick. I just stay aggressive, keep the throttle down and, use the weapons that you have. It's just what I think everyone's been clamoring for. So it's finally nice to see that. But down the stretch, I mean, they'll have to continue to do that because I think the defense being dinged up and not being as strong as we'd like it to be, they're going to have to score points. So, and I think with the Packers, at least you'll be getting Jair back, right? I mean, before the season's over, or is it a bit of a mystery?
We're supposed to be. We were also supposed to be getting David Bakhtiari back a while ago, and now he's just having surgery on the knee to try to clean up some stuff because he's been having problems with it. Yeah. Plus, we just lost Elton Jenkins. Like the O-line is what we're going to talk about in a little bit, and the O-line has been a mess, a mess. And I remember in training camp them talking about how many difficult decisions they had on the O-line, and it wasn't because everybody was so good. even though they tried to make it seem that with the perception, what the Packers were giving out was that, oh, these are such difficult decisions because everybody's so good. No. It's because they had a bunch of young guys they've drafted the last 2 years who they're thinking, well, they're young and cheap. And we've got these other guys that are around that are okay, or veterans that are pretty good. And what are we going to do? And then they elected to keep some more of the veterans, which was a good decision. But they were thinking, I mean, they were banking on Bakhtiari coming back and having Jenkins available to put where they needed him.
Sure.
And now Jenkins is gone, torn ACL, and then Bakhtiari still not good enough, still having problems. So I have no idea.
Yeah. Easily your best 2 linemen, right? And I will say this, and this will probably be the closest thing I have to gloating all day, but I know Billy Turner had a couple penalties in the game and a couple bad plays, and it did make me smile a little bit. I did think of you guys because I know how you feel about Billy Turner.
Now, and Eric, I'm going to show you some stuff about a guy who's even worse than him.
No.
Oh yeah. It's terrible. Our worst offensive lineman. So we'll get into it when we get into the O-line. Ben and I have talked about it a number of times already because I've been hammering on this guy because for some reason they anointed him in the preseason as their starting right guard. They left my number 1 guy, Lucas Patrick, who had a rough training camp. He didn't look like himself. I don't know what was going on. And he was not starting. He was not starting until they had an injury at center with their 2nd round pick. And then they plugged him in at center, and he's been doing pretty good. Now, he had a couple ups and downs there, but he's a smart guy. He's good on the interior. He knows what's going on, and he tries hard, which I like. So I like guys that try hard. That's like my number 1 thing.
For sure.
So anyway, Lucas is doing pretty good at center. He's had a couple of ups and downs, fine. But I keep hearing people trash him all the time, and I'm getting a little tired of it, to be honest with you. So we'll look at a couple of things today. We'll show us some videos. I don't know how you'll see it on your phone over there, but we'll get into that in just a second. So anyway, yes, the O-line is scary. I kind of wish they hadn't had. I mean, the play Jenkins got hurt on, I think it was like Harrison Smith or a safety or a corner, like blitzing from the outside. So it wasn't because of a vicious hit. He just, whatever.
He banged a knee or something. Yeah, it looked.
His knee went down
really bad.
Weird, and he just went down. It wasn't like a big guy that rolled into him. Nothing.
Right.
It was just one of those things that happens. Yep. It's part of the game, part of the roll of the dice. So we'll go to that in a second, unless you have any final gloating thoughts. Well, let me just say this one other thing. Now, if the Packers had won this game, it would be a pretty uninteresting rest of the season, right? As far as the division goes. So with the Vikings winning, it's actually a little more fun to me. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think it's it's certainly more fun for me, right? And I've said before, like my low bar for an NFL season is I just want, meaningful games in December, which means you've been able to enjoy the whole season, right? It's no fun to right now, obviously being a Lions fan and even a Bears fan right now. I mean, that's brutal. All you have to do is to look forward to develop guys for next season, play for a draft pick. I mean, that stinks, and because NFL is great and you want to root for your team and you don't want to be in that weird position where you're like, well, I hope they lose so they get a better draft pick. That just feels wrong. It's so much better to be like, okay, right now we're in the playoff hunt. We still have an outside shot at the division if we play well and get a little help. So that's good. That's all I really want. That's all I really want is a shot. Chip in a chair, right? Well,
it seems like at least the door's still open to that at this point. I just feel for the Lions. Like, come on. I like how much Dan Campbell. I mean, guy clearly cares. I don't know how good of a coach he is, but like, come on, he's awesome, like a guy you want to play for. They're trying hard. I mean, can't even win a game. I mean, they got a tie. It's just rough.
It's really their passing game that's hurting them so much. It's just so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah.
And they don't have much weapons either to help them. So
right. I mean,
I don't know what they're going to do. It's going to take a while to dig out of that hole.
Yeah. And I think the lines aren't great. I mean, and if your lines aren't good, you got to have special guys to make up for that or you're in trouble. And, I mean, Aaron Jones makes the Packers line look good a lot. AJ Dillon at times can do that. Rodgers makes them look good a lot when they're not that good. as much as I dislike Rodgers now, but it's fine, whatever. Hey, I'm surrounded by love tonight because we're bringing the Viking Moe on. I got my Urson bobblehead. I got as many G's as I could get close to me just to help kind of deflect and push back against that Viking energy on Moe's side.
All right.
Okay.
Well, if it's any benefit too, the other reason it doesn't feel right to gloat very much is you didn't have Aaron Jones, you didn't have Jair Alexander. I know we didn't have Daniil Hunter either, and I get there's injuries, but I mean those are one of your best players on both sides of the ball. So I mean, if you have Jair on Jefferson all game, it's probably a very different game, so it doesn't feel like, I mean, on a 3-point win in the last second, it's not like it was a blowout or anything. That would have been a little bit more fun to gloat about, but that's not the case. And next game will be different. Hopefully both teams will be really healthy, and then we'll get a really good game, right?
You should still feel good that the Vikings made the plays they needed to win the game in the end.
I do.
They haven't done that.
Don't feel good about gloating about it. I know, I agree.
Oh, okay.
It's very encouraging, but I'm also, I'm curbing my enthusiasm a little bit here. We need to see more.
All right. On top of that, the Vikings have won the last two in a row against the
Technically
Packers.
True. That's right.
Yep. Okay. So I don't know how this will look for you. We're going to watch some highlights. I got some highlight plays. They're from the highlight packages. I know YouTube will flag our video. That's fine. I'm going to share at times. I'll unshare at times. So here's the situation. We're going to look at some offensive line plays. So everybody that hates offensive line doesn't want to watch anymore. Okay, see you later. I understand. But I like offensive line play. That's why, my favorite Packer is Lucas Patrick, who's a reserve offensive lineman now, but he has been the Packers starting center for the last several games, and he's doing pretty good. Mm-hmm. He does something. Now, he's a try-hard guy. He's not that physically gifted. He's not a guy that often blows people off the line of scrimmage, but he usually finds somebody to block. And he's doing this thing now where we'll show some plays where he's doing a really good job of adjusting and cleaning up the mess, being the janitor. I'm going to call him the janitor because there's a lot of messy stuff going on with stunts and everything. And it's maybe wasn't the guy he was supposed to block at first, but he starts blocking somebody, and then he's like, oh boy, this is getting messy. I got to clean it up over here. And then he goes and cleans this little mess up and gives some time. And he actually helped Aaron Rodgers throw a couple touchdown passes in the game against the Vikings, doing exactly that. So let's do a little screen share, Eric. Hopefully you can see this. And hopefully that'll work out. If you can't, because you're on your phone, I don't know, then you'll just have to take my word for it, I guess.
Okay.
All right. So here we go. Get a little share here. I don't know if you can see it, Eric.
I can.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. So now I just talked about how good my guy Lukey has done. He's the center right here, right? He's right there. This play is not so good. So I'm just going to show you that I'm a fair person when I evaluate stuff. He's got plays that aren't so great. I understand that. But I've got people telling me that he, along with some of the other Packer inside linemen, Royce Newman, the rookie right guard, who is by far the worse than Billy Turner. That's saying something. That guy, they're lumping them all together, and PFF is grading them all terribly. And I'm like, no way. Lucas Patrick is not in that group. He's not in that. Yes, he might have some plays that aren't as great, that good, but he's not making nearly as many bad plays as 77 or number 70, which are both on the right side. Eric, that was the genius of the Packers. They decided to take their two worst offensive linemen and put them right next to each other, which is, if you're a running back, I would only run to the left side. But anyway, let's take a look at what happens. Here's Lucas. He's right in the middle here. He's going to snap the ball. This is not a great play for him, so let's just take a look at it. It's fair. Just take a look at it. He almost circled him. Oh, he's struggling there. Okay, he tried to help out, and he came off, and the guy came around and ends up being an incomplete pass because Aaron Rodgers did not have much time there. We'll look at it one more time. All right, so here's the situation. It's kind of a good still here. Vikings running a stunt. This inside backer was here. He loops back around this way. The guy that was on the outside to his left is looping in. Lucas kind of followed this guy and is late getting on that guy twisting over, and that's who brings the pressure on Rodgers, and Rodgers has to get rid of it. All right. That happens. Not a great play. Okay, not a great play. So it's a tough adjustment sometimes playing center. I'm gonna switch to another play here, Eric, and then we'll pull it up. You got any thoughts on that? I mean, you as a person who's seen plenty of bad offensive line play as a Vikings fan, Any thoughts on that? Does that just look like standard Vikings offensive line play there?
Well, I think that's especially when you have guys playing out of position. You got rookies on the line. Stunts can be a problem, and I've seen that a lot with younger players too. That they get confused on the stunts, and that was with Wanham coming underneath and Kendricks going over the top there and on the stunt. And I think it was smart to make those calls just to test that cohesiveness, because I think that takes time and just an awareness of who you're blocking. But the plus is that maybe we'll see, because we've had problems with our center getting pushed back into the lap of the quarterback. And if your center can at least not let that happen, I think that's a win. So we'll see if we see anything like that.
That does stink. I mean, the first round center, and he can't even start for you anymore just from a couple years ago. That's pretty rough.
Yeah, well, his backup was out playing him. So,
yeah, fair enough.
But then the backup got pushed into Cousins' lap today, but it was also some pretty good plays by Kenny Clark. So we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So now we're going to look at Royce Newman, who is a rookie fourth rounder, a guy that was like a tweener tackle guard guy. They decided they're playing him in at right guard based on training camp, even though it was this battle position, and he has been terrible. I will explain to you, if you're a Packers fan, I'm not asking you during the game to look at this. I'm just asking you to even go back and look at highlights at times. And instead, when you're watching the highlights, just watch the offensive line, because you know what happens in the play. Watch the offensive line and look at the right guard. Now, there are a number of plays where he does very little or nothing and also looks bad doing it. So I just want to, let's take a peek at a couple of plays here. Here we got one coming up from Royce Newman on this next play. All right, that was a completion to Devontae Adams. Now, Royce Newman, here he is. He's right guard. He's right here. This is our friend Billy Turner here. We're not even going to worry about him. He's better than he's like not even as bad. Royce Newman, right guard, right here. That's what I want you to watch. Let's take a peek. I'll pause it here a couple times. Okay, ball snap. He's got a guy right over him here. Okay, and Eric, just to point out, all of this like pressure and mugging and some different stuff that other teams are doing against the Packers all came to light because Aaron Rodgers missed the game against Kansas City. They blitzed the crap out of Jordan Love, and everybody's like, whoa, look at this. This line can't handle it when we bring all these guys. So now everybody's going to try to do that against the Packers. So, again, thanks, Aaron Rodgers, for, making your decision you made and then missing the game, and now we're in trouble. Anyway, so here we go. All right, let's watch Royce here. Right guard, Royce. Okay, now, he's not in a great spot right here, is he, Eric? I mean,
no, way upright, very upright.
It's not looking good. So
it's not an athletic stance.
You would his feet are flat. The guy's got his arms extended into him. His arms are not extended. Royce's arms are not extended, and so you would not expect a very good result here. All right, let's take a peek at how it goes. Okay, he's kind of got him. Oh boy. Well, all right, that play is done. That was 3rd and 9. 3rd and 9. Now he did kind of recover a little bit there. We'll watch it kind of real time here. Okay, he kind of recovered a little here. Got backed up a little bit with his feet. He's doing okay, and then leans. Oh boy. Oh no. Oh gosh. And then he just turns around and looks at him like, well, maybe I'll just skip over here. Great. So that's one play from our guy. We have many more. So Eric,
Billy Turner didn't look very good there.
No, Billy Turner most of the time does not look good. I mean, that's just the way it goes with him. I mean, look, that's the thing I'm saying. Like, Royce Newman has been so bad, I can't even worry about Billy Turner anymore because I'm so worried about him on every single play. It's just ridiculous. All right, let's take a look at this one here. Oh, yeah, okay. Here we go. Now, this is another example. Are you still seeing the play, Eric?
No, I had to reshare.
Okay, let's do it again here. Oh, yeah, I got to go like this. Sorry, technical specs here. Let me get around it. All right. Back to, this is, I believe, another. Oh, yeah. Okay, so 2 things on this play. I want you to watch. We're going to look at Royce again, good old Royce. And we're also going to look at my man Lucas at center here to see what he does. All right, so Lucas is a center. He's right there. Royce Newman, right guard. Let's sneak a peek at what happens here. Let's first look at Royce Newman here, the right guard, because we're going to start on the negative and finish positive. Make ourselves feel a little better here. All right, snap comes. Royce has got a guy right over him again. Let's see what it is here. Oh boy. Oh, they pulled it. Oh, wow. So they pulled a stunt there, right? The Vikings ran a simple stunt, and he was clearly not ready for it. And then he's just kind of standing around. Okay, great. Now this is a good ending to the play. We'll make sure we show that to you. Let's go back 1 second and let's watch LP on this one, the center. Now, this is not a overwhelming block, but I want you to watch what he does. He's the center. So we saw what happens with Royce. We know the Vikings are running a stunt over here. Let's watch what Lucas does at center on this play. All right, he snaps. He's looking back. He should be thinking, I need to help on the right side. That's what he should think every play. But let's just see what he does. He looked right. Now he's looking left. Now he's coming back. Now he looks left again. He chips Runyon's guy because Runyon, left guard, just got beat to the inside. All right, now he's the center. He's also the cleanup guy. Now, look at him. He sees this stunt happening on the right side, sees Royce Newman way back here, and thinks, oh, crap, this is going to be bad. So what does he do? He nudges in there, knocks the guy back and out of the way so Aaron Rodgers can do this.
Yeah, he saved the play.
Save the play. That's good offensive line play. I know it wasn't like some big, damaging block, but he's looking there. He chips the guy on the left side, then sees the crap that's happening to his right and gets over there and gets enough of that guy to give Rodgers an escape pattern to get out there and do what he did. Make a crazy throw and crazy play. I get it. But without that, it doesn't happen.
Right. I mean, that's probably a sack if he doesn't get a piece of Wanham there. So that's a great play. But yeah, the stunts were a problem.
They've been struggling with these stunts for sure. It's been pretty rough. And I make a joke, but literally no one was doing that to the Packers before Jordan Love started that game in Kansas City. And everybody got to see how the line struggles with having more than 5 coming. If there's 6 coming, between them and the backs, they struggle, and they have struggled. So now every team's going to do it against you. That's just the way it goes in the NFL. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So we got another play coming up here. I don't want to go forever on this stuff, but I do want you to watch another one setting up. Anyway, pretty darn good play by Lucas, I have to say.
Absolutely.
All right, let's take a peek at this. All right. Now I'm not even going to pick a play here. We're just going to watch Royce Newman 3 plays in a row. 3 plays in the highlights in a row. They're on the same drive. I just want you to watch what he does. Okay. Just to give you a perspective of what he actually does most of the time. Now, at times he does get a block. At times he does. And you can go and find a play where he does. Great. Good for you. But that's what you want the majority of the time is him finding a block, not what he does the majority of the time, which is not block anybody, stand around, or get beat. So let's just watch 3 plays in a row here. Our good buddy Royce, he's right guard. Don't even get distracted by Billy Turner. I don't know what he does. Let's just watch Royce right here, right guard. All right. Here he is. Okay, what is he doing? We don't even know. I mean, he likes to put his hands on guys. I've said this before. He's the 1 second blocker. He likes to block for maximum 1 second. It's kind of his MO. And what he does when he doesn't have a guy right in front of him, he just put a hand on a guy, and then immediately he runs over to put a hand on a different guy or just run around and not really do anything. It's probably good for his cardio as an offensive lineman, but not really great in helping him block. Okay, now that's one play. That's fine. It's not a bad play. He wasn't asked. He didn't have a guy on him. He wasn't asked specifically to do anything important on the play. But, if you're going to kind of help out, you could at least put a shot on a guy, or I would say go to Billy Turner right away to help. Don't even worry about the inside because Billy is the guy you should look to most of the time. And he does do that. But let's see. Okay, very next play on the highlights. Same drive. Let's take a peek. Oh, it's a running play. Here's Royce right here. Or maybe it's not a running play. That's a fake. I think this might be a fake. Anyway, watch him. Let's see what he does. Okay, he just kind of kind of standing around. I understand Aaron Rodgers threw it the other way, but did he really do anything on the play? He just kind of ran out there. That's what he does most of the time. Okay, next play. We'll just watch that one. It's a nice play. Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, great. All right, here's Royce here, right guard. Just snap the ball. Let's see what happens here. All right, now he's got a guy. Okay, so Lucas Patrick and him are kind of double teaming right away here, but the guy is clearly more on Royce Newman, right? He's clearly more engaged with Royce Newman. But look at his head. He's not even looking at the guy he's supposed to be blocking. He's immediately looking outside to a guy that already has two blockers right here. Billy Turner, and I understand it's Billy Turner. I understand. So normally I would say, Royce, that's not a bad idea. Always look at Billy Turner, see if he needs help. But he's got some help right here. So I'm really perplexed as to what you're doing on this play. Let's see what happens here. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Now, here's the difference, again, between Royce Newman and Lucas Patrick. Let's go back to that one. All right, this is Devontae play. Sorry, I'm back a little too far. Well, I'm going to let this one go in real time and then talk about it right after this. Okay, so you know Royce is right here. Again, just watch him. Just watch what he does. Now, I understand it's not easy sometimes playing offensive line, and sometimes you don't have to get a block on a guy. That's fine. But you should at least look at the guy you're blocking, look at him. And when you already have two guys out here, you should try to help this guy in the middle that's getting penetration right at you, okay? But here's the other difference. I showed you multiple plays now where Royce Newman gets beat, and then he just turns around and goes like that and like stands around, okay? Lucas Patrick is blocking this guy kind of with Royce Newman, thinks he's going to get help from Royce Newman, doesn't. And then I want you to watch what Lucas Patrick does in this play, because you saw the end result. Aaron Rodgers scrambles for a first down. Well, that, again, only happens because Lucas Patrick stays with the play, continues to try to block somebody instead of getting beat and just turn around and be like, oh, I'm beat. Oh, okay. Well, I'll just look around. No, this is what you need to do. This is not what you need to do. Watch the center, Lucas Patrick, on this play. Okay, it's looking bad. He's beat now, but stays on the guy, rides him around. Aaron Rodgers gets a first down. Big run.
So it's a good play, right? Because I think the important thing is, so he's Dalvin Tomlinson there, splits the double team and obviously beats at least one of the double teams. And then Patrick's in this really awkward position, right, where he has to try to block this guy from the side without holding him. And it's a really tough thing to do because you'll have an arm around the front. So to make sure you're really not hooking or grabbing or pulling, but just pushing from the side. And then, when Rodgers steps up, he's smart enough to let go, and Tomlinson falls forward and misses Rodgers, right? Because ultimately, if that can become a hold really quickly if the guy changes directions, and you have to be able to let go. So, I mean, not only to expect a double team, not get it, but not get the help that you were hoping for against a big, nose tackle type, and then and they get pushed in the backfield, but then to not get a holding call either. It's pretty phenomenal play. One that doesn't really probably get noticed very easily, but that ended up, then Rodgers, obviously, with his mobility, it made that play look a lot better than it could have been. I think if someone a little more stationary is back there, it could have been a problem. But another example where you said Rodgers makes the line look better, and Patrick saved the play. Again, saved the play.
I mean, look,
twice.
I'm not saying that Royce Newman's the only guy that does this. There's plenty of guys that miss a block and then just stand around and look around. Okay, plenty of guys in the NFL. If you watch NFL offensive line play, you see it all over the league. But I don't want that guy starting on my offensive line. If you think you can develop him into being better, you think he's got athleticism or whatever, which the Packers have said about him, great. Then just put his ass on the bench and at least give me somebody else in there that might be better. You could put anybody in there and they can do at least what he does and probably do better than he does. So not when you're trying to win a Super Bowl. If this was a developmental team that was 3-5 or whatever, 3-6, okay, fine. Play with your guys, give them experience, great. You're trying to win the division. You're trying to win a Super Bowl. This is not acceptable offensive line play. It just is not. And pressure up the middle is a killer for most quarterbacks.
Yep.
Rodgers can deal with Billy Turner at tackle because if he gets beat, he can step up and slide around and get out of trouble. But if you get pressure up the gut, that's a killer for most quarterbacks, and most of the time it is. And if you had Josh Myers in at center on those two plays, those couple of plays I showed you, he doesn't react the same. We saw that with his play early in the season. He was the Packers' rookie starting center. Like, he was fine, nothing great about him. He was doing okay, but he's not a like stick with the block kind of guy. He's also a block for a couple seconds and then okay, I let my guy go kind of guy. So if you don't have one of the guys like Patrick who's like, man, I'm gonna ride this guy or do whatever I got to do, throw my body around, I don't care. If you don't have that guy, those plays don't happen. Aaron Rodgers is sacked or he's pressured and has to throw it away or whatever. So I'm sick of people trying to lump Lucas Patrick in with these guys that actually suck, because I see time and time again him make really important plays that, again, they're not impressive to look at in terms of, oh man, he really dominated a guy at that play, but he made an important play. He chipped off a guy to give Aaron Rodgers an extra second. He adjusted from one block to another block to save this big pressure coming up the middle. So come on, Bruce, other people that keep saying crap, calling you out, Bruce, because you keep throwing crap about Patrick around. Andy Herman, everybody else that undervalues this guy. Come on. I'm not saying he's the greatest center in the world, but he's pretty darn good and he tries hard most of the time. So I'll take him. I got one
injuries. Yeah, go ahead. Injuries are, if you think about if you have Bakhtiari, you might have Jenkins at right guard, or
Jenkins could be. We talked about it. The ideal offensive line would have been Bakhtiari was coming back, slide Jenkins back to left guard, take John Runyon, who's playing pretty good at left guard. He's not as good as everyone's saying he is, but he's playing pretty good at left guard. Put him at right guard, get Newman's ass on the bench, maybe on the street as far as I'm concerned, but whatever. You want to keep him on the team, that's fine. And then I would actually take Yash Nijman, who came in at left tackle after Jenkins' injury, and put him at right tackle, and then let Lucas Patrick be center, and then you'd have your best offensive line. But the Packers would have chosen to do probably kick Lucas Patrick out of the game, put Jenkins at center if he was still around, leave Runyon at left guard, Bakhtiari left tackle, right guard Royce Newman, and right tackle Billy Turner, which is not the best five. But that's probably what they would have chosen to do. Now they don't have Jenkins and probably don't have Bakhtiari. So it's going to be Yash at left tackle, Runyon left guard, Lucas Patrick at center, Newman and Turner. It's not going to be great. If they got to play some stud D lines, it's going to get rough. And against the Rams, it could be ugly. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what the conditions are like on the field that day. I don't know. All right, one more play here. This one is late in the game. Oh, yeah, this is the MVS touchdown. Sorry, Eric. I know somehow a lot of these plays ended up being like Packer touchdowns and great plays by Aaron Rodgers, who I'm not a fan of anymore. But anyway, the point is there all happen to be key plays by Lucas Patrick to make those plays available to Aaron Rodgers to make. So I want you to watch Lucas Patrick on this play. Center right here. And I might stop it here just to see. Okay, you just snap the ball. All right, let's see what the Vikings are doing here. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They got 6 coming. The Packers have a back. They got Dillon, and they got the 5 offensive linemen here. But I want you to watch Lucas here because this is where it's getting hairy. You got 3 guys in this little triangle. They're running some sort of stunt. Let's see what they do. Okay. Barr went to the outside. This guy's coming inside, and this guy took a hard inside move. Now, Newman is here. I don't know what that is. Like, he decided he's not blocking this guy. He's going to touch this guy with his right hand, which is not going to stop him. And then Barr's still coming over here. Okay, I don't know what's happening. Runyon's got his guy up here. Yash is waiting for his guy. Billy Turner's got his arms flailing back. I don't know what's happening there, but I can't even worry about that because the inside pressure is more scary. You got to worry about this stuff. Okay. All right. So now look what happened. Here's good old Royce. He decided to block this guy, even though Barr's coming free. Luckily, Dylan worked his way through, and he's going to try to chip Barr. Lucas Patrick was going inside and now has to recover here because they ran this stunt, and Newman is kind of just getting in the way. And he does. He picks him up, rides him around, gives Aaron Rodgers the pocket and the time he needs to do that. I won't even show the end of the play. I don't want Mo to be sad.
Oh,
but
it's fine.
So just watch it in real time, real quick here, because it's crazy. Like, granted, what the Vikings are doing here is a little scary. Like, you got to try to figure it out. They're moving guys around. It's not always easy. Okay, great. But I don't know what the line call was. I don't know any of that stuff. I don't know AJ Dillon's responsibility. But what it looks like to me is that Royce Newman, for whatever reason, vacated his spot, decided to pick a guy to block. Then Dylan had to get through the wash to chip the bar that goes around, and Lucas Patrick was going inside, and then all of a sudden had to be like, holy crap, I got to quickly get out here to ride this guy around the left, or it's right in Rodgers' face. So I'll just watch it one more quick time here. And then MVS ran like 25 miles an hour. Fantastic. He's super fast. The Packers should sign him back immediately. We know that, but they probably won't. Actually, they probably will, because they haven't had a fast receiver that could catch most of the time in a long time. So hopefully MVS is still a Packer. Lock him down. He's good.
I know on that play. Well, I know that play when the blitz didn't really get home right away, that was probably going to be a problem. And then I think Harrison Smith tried to guess up a little bit, be aggressive, try to make a play, and was obviously wrong. And it's a great read by Rodgers under pressure. I mean, even though the blitz was picked up essentially, guys were pushed up in his face, and he was able to just step back on his back foot and throw a complete dime to MVS in stride, and Xavier Woods, who's played well for the Vikings, was just no match for his speed in that play with the really accurately thrown ball. So Zimmer afterwards said that, he was maybe a little too aggressive there, but I don't mind. I think people were afraid to blitz Rodgers, and I think sometimes you still have to do it and make him make a play, and he did. And but that was really a great pickup. It was a pretty good breakdown too.
So let me just get a quick take, because then we're going to watch like a really fun offensive lineman play. A guy that the Vikings and Packers probably should have drafted this last year, but decided not to. So he's on a different team. But what do you think about MVS?
Yeah, like early on, like I think on actually one of the shows, I compared him to I can't even think of his name now, but a receiver the Vikings used to have that was really super fast and nice. And
not Treadwell? Or was it Treadwell?
No, but couldn't catch. So because his speed is apparent. I mean, you can see it, right?
He's the only one. The only guy the Packers have that can do that.
It's great to have someone like that, right? Whether they can really catch or not. And he did have trouble with drops and things, but obviously looks like he's kind of come around a little bit, and sometimes that's a confidence thing. So I think objectively, I'd like to have him on my team. I mean, anytime you can have someone that can stretch the field, even if you don't go to him every time. And Rodgers actually went at him a lot, which is pretty telling. I mean, they really tried to take some shots with him in that game, and then finally hit one. It just opens up a lot of things. I think it opens up a lot of things for Adams underneath, and because you're stretching out defenses and testing safeties, it makes you think twice about blitzing. Speed at that position that you can take a top off of defense is pretty valuable. And if he can hang on to a few balls, then I think he could be really good, especially if they lose both Adams and Rodgers this offseason. But
he's better than Jeff Janis, who was fast and couldn't catch. He's better than Trevor Davis, who is another fast guy the Packers have had in recent years who couldn't catch. He actually catches Originally, it was about 50-50 chance he might catch it. Now I'm more like the 70-30 that he's going to haul it in. And he's come around with his route running, but he's like, I mean, his speed is apparent. He's missed most of the games this year. He's only been back for a couple games now, and he only played a couple in the beginning. So he's actually been out most of the games this year, which drastically impacted the way their offense looked. Just not having him on the field. And Ben and I said it before the 2020 season that he is probably the most important, even though everybody thought we were crazy because they're like, what are you talking about? Aaron Rodgers is the most important. We're like, he is the most important player to making his offense work because without his speed, they have zero threat going deep. And then they lost Robert Tonyan, who was a threat to go deep up the middle against linebackers, or safeties even, because he was that fast.
Yep.
So he was the only other guy that could kind of stretch the field. Now with at least MVS back, it changes the way their offense works, opens it up for the running backs more. It's a huge difference.
Yep.
So MVS is a key to this, key piece to this offense, and the Packers should lock him up. They should not wait until he has 5 more touchdowns and 500 yards the rest of the season. They should offer him a contract now, get him locked up because they haven't had a guy like this for a long time and they need one. So
is he a free agent after the season too?
Yep.
So him and Adams are both free agents, and then the whole Rodgers situation.
Yep.
Exactly. Should be an interesting offseason.
It will. That's why this year I'm saying it's like you got all these guys under contract. You got a number of early round picks who are kind of blossoming. If Gary comes back and Savage playing okay, and some other guys, Jair and whatnot, I mean, pretty soon you're gonna have to start paying some of those guys. And if this is your last year with Rodgers, this can't be a mess around with experimental, developmental offensive linemen because that's going to get you beat. Same thing with the field goal situation. We can't have iffy field goal kicking operation. Get it figured out. Figure out what the problem is. Fix it. Because this has to be the year. Because after this year, as Packers fans, I don't think we can expect, this team to be going a realistic chance at a Super Bowl in the next few years. Once Rodgers leaves and a bunch of these other players are gone, it's going to take a little time to get some stuff figured out.
You got to think you have to lock down Jair pretty soon too. He's got a fifth-year option next year.
He does have a fifth-year option. Yep.
But then you got to lock him down too. So there's another guy you got to, obviously pay pretty good money to, also, and you should. So.
Yep.
A lot of guys to pay.
Yep. They've struggled so much finding corners. I mean, that's the thing. They'll clear some cap space with Darius Smith, Preston Smith, some of those free agents they signed. I hope they keep Amos around because he's been really good. He's been the best out of those. And Zadarius gets all the pub and multiple Pro Bowls and all this stuff, but Amos has by far been the best of those 3 big free agents they signed a couple of years back. All right, let's watch some really fun stuff. I don't know how much more time you got, Eric, but this is fun. You'll like it. It's good stuff. Okay. All right, so the offensive lineman that the Packers definitely should have drafted, Ben and I talked about a couple weeks ago again. We talked about it during the draft. The Vikings probably should have drafted this guy too, but it's Hartford's own, UW Whitewater's own, Quinn Miners, who after an injury is getting a chance to play for the Broncos. So he is here at right guard. Ben showed you a couple of awesome plays a couple weeks ago. One pull play where he got to run around just like this play. He's going to pull from right guard and lead around the left side, where he just destroyed a cornerback. Well, it was a cornerback, and he's a 300-some-pound dude, but he can move, he can run. And then he also showed you a play where he got a little too aggressive and kind of fell on his face because the defensive guy caught him leaning and just threw him to the side. Now watch Quinn. I'm going to show you a few different plays of this guy. Anyway, on top of this is the way he plays football. On top of the fact that he was the gut, on top of the fact that he was this funny guy who had personality, who could have sold a bunch of stuff for you as Packers fans, as a Packers organization, the fan base, a Wisconsin guy would have gotten behind him, love the gut, all this stuff. Come on. He's the man. And he's coming around. It's taken him a little while to break into the Broncos, but I think he's going to find himself a permanent spot there. And he's a rookie too. Royce Newman's a rookie who's played a bunch more than this guy. This guy's a rookie who's finally just gotten to get a little playing time in the last 2 games. This is week 10 highlights here against the Eagles. He's at right guard. I want you to watch him on this play. He's going to lead around to the left. Check him out, number 77. Here he goes, leading around. Watch this. Now, I just want you to see that one more time because it's pretty good. He just destroys this linebacker. Now that guy ends up making the tackle, sort of, but that's some pretty good stuff by Quinn. Watch as he pulls. I want you to watch him on the next couple of plays too, because this is. I don't want you to think I'm picking out like one play that he just looked awesome on, although he did look awesome on that play. So here he is, right guard. This is a 1st and 15. Same drive. Now, okay, he let Fletcher Cox go after a little bit, but he got pushed him downfield 4 yards before he let him go. I think I had like 4 plays in a row here. I wanted you to just look at them. Just game plays. All right, here's pass pro, right? Pass pro. He's going against Fletcher Cox, one of the best defensive linemen in the league. Sometimes he doesn't try that hard, but it looks like in this game he was trying to get, he was playing pretty hard. He's a big man. But Quinn's holding his own. All right, he's getting eat up a little bit there. Bridgewater kind of steps into him, but did the job, kept his guy off him. Not like Royce Newman looking around. Well, I guess I got beat. No, this guy keeps blocking. All right, here he is again. Another pass protection. He fires out. Let's see how he does. Okay, he's getting pushed back now a little bit, trying to reset. Okay, guy got his arm up in high on his shoulder pads, probably close to his face, pushing him back a little further than he would like. But it's a quick play. It's a 1st and 5. Bridgewater gets the ball out, and he holds his own. Now he wants to go clean it up, but he's, push him around a little bit. Good stuff. And then they're running on this play, and Quinn is right here. Let's see what he does in this play. Kind of getting caught up in the wash here. Missed his guy a little bit, but he's downfield at least, helping out before that play happened. So that's a little bit of Quinn Miners. Let me see. Maybe there's another play here. Here he is, right guard right there. And he gets a push. Now they bounce it outside and get a nice run. Part of it is getting the put. Oh, this is the one I wanted to show you too. Now I'm not picking these plays out. We're just watching play after play here. Watch this play though. There's a really great play late in the game too. Now this is 2nd and goal from the 1. 2nd and goal from the 1. Here he is, right guard, right here. They got some slide here or a short trap coming from the left guard, number 66. Quinn is right here. He's already fired out. He's the first guy. His helmet's out first. Now he gets nice and low on Cox right here, or it might have been 93. Cox might be here on this play. And then watch what he does. He gets underneath him, turns him, spins, shields him off, works on burying him, and look where they run. Right off his block. Now, Eric, you're a Vikings fan. Would you like to have a guy like that maybe on your offensive line? It looks like he's doing pretty good for maybe like his only 2nd game of NFL action.
I would. I think, just in that sample size, I like what he did in the run game. I'm a little worried about his pass protection. I think his anchor could be a lot better. I think you saw a couple of those where his feet were like way behind his body. And that just sets you up for a swim move or anything, and you're going to be completely beat and fall on your face. So I think he needs to work on his anchor, and it's hard to do that when you're playing against Fletcher Cox and you don't want to get pushed in the quarterback's lap, which he did a couple times. So he'll need to work on his anchor in the pass game, but the run game, that looked really good. And he looked like he moved well enough to be in his own scheme too. So I'm surprised he wasn't one of our targets. What round was he drafted in?
He was, I think, drafted in the 3rd round.
Okay.
He was projected. So he came out of Whitewater. He played, I think, tackle or guard at Whitewater. And a lot of people were projecting him as a center. I thought he'd be a great guard, and the Broncos are using him at guard. And I would love to have a guy like that on the interior of my line. And I understand, and here's a pass set coming up I want to show you that's not great. So let's just take a look at it. It just shows it's an example of, he's got some work to do on his pass set, but at least there's something to work from, unlike what I see from Royce Newman, who doesn't seem to have a lot to work from as far as I can tell. So let's just take a peek at this one coming up here on the pass set. It's not a great pass set, but I just want to, because I'm fair. Let's see. He's right here, I think. So snap the ball. Yeah, he's right guard. He's already engaged with Cox right here. Okay. It's not great. He's getting pushed back. Okay. But he's sticking with it. That part I like. He's fighting. He's battling. Okay. Sometimes you're going to get beat a little bit. It's a completed pass. He held up the guy enough. He didn't olay him, turn him loose after 1 second, like we saw from Royce. But let's see. There's another play here. Just a second. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, his hands are active too. You like to see that he's got good fight with his hands. He's not just, he wasn't doing what Jenkins was doing with his arms down at his side, right? He fires out even in the pass sets to try to get his hands on the guy right away, which is great to see. But I think just some technique with the anchor in his pass set, but it might be a little bit more important for him.
All right, now we got to watch a couple of running plays because that's where he excels. So let's take a peek at a couple of running plays here. Quinn Miners, by the way, the gut, formerly the gut, now just Quinn Miners. He's right guard right here, the fuzzy right guard. Okay, let's check out what he does in these couple of plays. All right, he starts on a double team, right? That's pretty nasty to have him on as a double team. Now he's branching off. And he's like, I'll just push this guy around. I don't care. Get him out of the way. So, again, works well off a double team. He's got power. Let's see how he does in this one. So he's right here, right guard again. Got a guy right over him. Nice double team scrape. Go get the linebacker, shove him back. And yeah, I mean, he does a one thing. Like sometimes in a situation like that, you'd almost like to see a guy rather than shove a guy back because sometimes that guy ends up making the tackle. Maybe just engage with him a little bit, but he's super aggressive. So he's just like, I'm going to shove this dude around because I'm way bigger than him and stronger than him. But, this guy doesn't want to tackle this running back, or the way he tackles the running back doesn't look good because he got pushed back so far by Miners. So here he comes off of that scrape. That guy's not in a good position to make a tackle, and he gets totally run over. So if you had a good running game, Eric, like say you had Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon and your quarterback didn't want to be there anymore and you might be moving on from him in a year, that might have been a good guy to add to your offensive line group. Or if you had Delvin Cook, maybe. I mean, I'm just spitballing here, but perhaps.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Vikings took a different guard in the third round this year, like Wyatt Davis from Ohio State, who has not played yet despite some injuries and poor play. So too early to say that's a failure, but he still makes you question things a little bit, especially when your center's not playing that well either, and just got replaced by a backup guy too. So and if he can play center, or guard, that's helpful also because he played center at Whitewater, right? Is that correct?
No, he played tackle. I think he played tackle and guard at Whitewater, and for some reason they were projecting him as
I see, for no good
as
reason.
A center because he is fast. He ran like a really fast 40, a sub 540. He had really good cone drill. He's really athletic and stuff like that, which you can see on the polling and stuff. But so for whatever reason, even though he never played center, they were actually had this great video. You should check it out in your spare time. I know you don't want to be, but you would be a fan of Quinn Miners. He never.
I like him already.
He never learned center. He always played like tackle. He probably pretty much always played tackle. And then in the NFL, they're like, oh, you're going to be a guard or maybe center. And all of a sudden, everybody was talking about him being a center. So, and the scouts and everything else. And then he's like, I've never played center before. So he started working on center stuff. He started working on snapping, and he set up like a pizza paddle on his like recycling bin or garbage bin or whatever at his parents' house, and would snap to the pizza paddle and just try to hit the pizza paddle. That was like how he taught himself how to do like shotgun snaps.
Wow.
As center in his off-season training. And then he's got like this whole other video where he went up to like his uncle's he went up to Canada on this island and was just like surrounded by just all nature, and he was like doing a bunch of wood chopping and all this sort of stuff. It was almost like a Rocky video that he made, kind of spoof. He's a super funny guy, animated, like awesome. I mean, he would have been such a good Packer. God, and they just, I don't know. Anyway, All right, so you can see the play now.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's see what this one is. I can't remember. This one is a pass set. Okay, so we showed some of his bad pass sets. Let's take a look at this one. He's right here, right guard again. Let's see what he does here on the pass set. All right, so we got a guy coming right at him. All right, so he's not in a great spot right now. He's got one leg back, one leg forward. Guy's got into him, but he recovers, shoves that guy back, then switches to the guy that was looping around and holds up and pushes him back. So that just also shows you his strength, but he's got some ability to switch on the fly, unlike good old Royce, who's just like, "Well, oh, just turn around because I'm not going to block that guy anymore." Packers. All right, one more to show you, Eric, here of Quinn. He's awesome. Should be a Packer, and then if the Packers were going to take him, the Vikings should have taken him. But anyway, you could have sold so many. He would have played well in Minnesota too. Like you would have sold a ton of Quinn Miners jerseys, the gut, the whole thing would have gone well. All right, watch this 4th and 1. Now this ends up being a terrible play because Melvin Gordon fumbles it. The running back, I think it's Melvin Gordon. Running back fumbles it. This is where it gets returned for a touchdown by Darius Slay, but it sure the hell is not because of Quinn Miners. This is a 4th and 1. I want you to watch him. This is offensive line 101. This is big boy football that the Packers cannot play with the offensive linemen they have. Vikings probably not either, but look at this guy right here. Right there. Watch him on this play. All right. I want you to see his fire out here. All right. He gets down. He gets low. Watch what he ends up doing. Look, this is Fletcher Cox right here. Fletcher Cox was here. Now he's here and turned and standing up. And Quinn is just getting guys out of the way. If they followed this 77 right here, that'd be a first down.
Yeah.
That would have been a first down. But they fumbled it. Some stuff went on. But it sure the heck wasn't because of that guy.
Yeah.
And that's 4th and 1 when everybody's geared up to stop you from getting that, right? Everybody's geared up to be, I'm getting penetration. I'm not allowing the offensive lineman to fire out.
Well, I think
saying, I'd take that guy on my team, but
for sure. And I think the other thing with, you moving to guard from tackle, especially your pass sets, is you don't have time to set up your set. The guy's on you like immediately. Where tackle, you got a few steps before the guy gets to you. You can set up and get your anchor, and it looks like he's trying to compensate instead of, he almost fires out when he does pass protection, which is aggressive. But so if he could just figure out that technique from the guard spot and getting used to guys getting on him right away, he could definitely turn around. But yeah, he looks fun to watch even for an offensive lineman. He looks pretty fun to watch.
And he's got great personality too. I'm telling you, man,
Yeah.
Go check out a couple of those things like him.
I will. Yeah.
He did some interviews with like Good Morning Football Crew before the draft because he was climbing up the draft boards. And then all of a sudden they're like, who is this guy? And they saw his video and some other stuff. And his interviews are great. He's just, on that alone, just as a business, the Packers should have drafted him just because they could have sold a whole bunch more stuff. But he's also a type of offensive lineman the Packers have not had in, I don't know, my lifetime. I can't remember a dude who was an actual plow, run, dominator offensive lineman who maybe you could help coach him up on his pass blocking more. But man, you can't teach some of the stuff he can do. His bench was great, his speed, his agility. Like that guy was it. And as a guy who grew up in Wisconsin, and he was a no-brainer again that the Packers I don't know. Anyway, but the Vikings passed on him too, so whatever. I hope he's a Pro Bowl lineman in the league for like 10 years, 12 years.
That'd be a cool story.
Because he's awesome. Quinn Miners, huge fan. The gut. He's the man. All right, Eric, that's all I got for you, man. Hey, Lee,
all right.
Thanks for checking it out. Thanks for making your time, Eric, on your vacation. Through all this. But
no, it was fun. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Hopefully, like I said, everyone gets healthy and we have another fun game that means a lot later in December.
It's going to be ugly then, though, because it's cold and
that's good. That's
Lambeau Field and
just run the ball.
All right. Yeah, it'll be a lot of running. That's good. All right. All right, Eric, you're awesome. Congrats on the win. Appreciate
Thanks, buddy.
your time. All right,
All right.
we'll catch you later.
Yep. Bye.
Everybody, take care. Be good. We'll see you Friday.